Prince Harry has lost his multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the publishers of the Daily Mail.
Prince Harry has lost his £50 million case against the Daily Mail, but today, as he arrives for a speech at Chatham House, the moment this devastating verdict is announced, I can tell you, he has also lost his reputation. This man lied in court. He committed perjury. And he can sue me if he wants.
£50 million.
£50 million, that's what he spent on this case?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. I mean, what is wrong with this guy? These are outrageous allegations against the Mail, and Harry has been utterly humiliated today, and he deserves it.
I mean, yeah, he's complaining to the judge, but judge, no, just like he's complaining to his dad right now. But dad, break the law and get me security. I mean, like, this guy's the most entitled, insufferable guy ever.
It's quite possible that the Daily Mail could now seek revenge on Harry and go after him for more millions, because they've been dragged through the mud on this one. And unfortunately, whether it's his charities, whether it's his business activities, or his relationship with the royal family, everything Harry touches turns to mud.
Hours after losing all 97 claims against the Daily Mail, Prince Harry did something no royal has ever dared. He called the verdict a whitewash, accusing the king's own judge of a stitch-up. To understand how a prince declared war on British justice itself, you need to hear the last lies that got him there. The last one involves his mother.
The bitter irony is that his mother Diana liked the Mail. We were her paper. We took her side in her acrimonious breakup with Charles.
Start inside that courtroom. The High Court of Justice in London, a court that operates, quite literally, in his father's name. Prince Harry raises his hand and swears to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Remember that moment, because everything you're about to hear happened under oath. The same oath you would swear at your local courthouse, with, as you'll see, very different consequences. From the first day, the warning signs were there. Harry wasn't answering questions, he was arguing, sparring, treating cross-examination like a debate he could win.
Harry appeared emotional and combative at points. The judge repeatedly reminded him that he was there to answer questions, not argue the case. The judge said, Justice Nicklin, who is, let's be honest, he's the king, isn't he? He's the boss. He said, you don't have to argue the case. You just need to answer the questions.
And in one extraordinary exchange, the judge himself, Justice Nicklin, the man holding Harry's fate in his hands, actually tried to help him. He gently explained that Harry didn't need to fight every point, that his lawyer would argue the case for him. He even said, I am intent on you not having a bad experience with me. Think about that. The judge was coaching him, offering him a lifeline. And Harry's response? He bristled about a bad experience he'd had with another lawyer and carried on exactly as before.
Part of Mr. White's job is to put allegations to you. This is a big moment. You're doing exactly what lots of litigants do. You tend to argue back about what he is putting to you. You don't have to bear the burden of arguing the case today that's for Mr. Sherborne.
I had a bad experience with Mr. Green.
You can simply say, I don't accept that, or I don't know about that.
I am intent on you not having a bad experience with me, but it is my job to ask you these questions.
But Paula, Harry now just seems to live in a bubble of paranoia where there is always some type of plot against him, even in his father's own courts.
The judge would remember that, and 436 pages later, so would the world, because buried in that ruling is a pattern. Not one lie, not two, a collection. And we're going through them, one by one, from the smallest to the one that will genuinely shock you. Lie number one sounds almost innocent. It's about his friends, and it quietly demolished his entire case.
Anybody knows, you get 10 of your friends and all of them have some information. There are any number of motivations for somebody to say, well, hey, I owe this reporter a favor, and so therefore I'm going to call a reporter and give them this information. Okay, fair play. And then in other cases, you know, people just talk.
On the stand, Harry made a sweeping claim. His social circle, he insisted, was not leaky. His friends were honorable people, sworn to secrecy.
My social circles were not leaky. I want to make that absolutely clear. I would have to cut contact with this person.
If private stories about him ended up in the papers, they simply must have been hacked, tapped, or stolen. There was no other explanation, except there was. The Daily Mail's royal editor, Rebecca English, took the stand and calmly dismantled it. One story Harry swore was hacked details of him talking about his ex-girlfriend Chelsea Davy around a campfire came from someone who was sitting at that campfire. Her exact words, "All I can say is that he did," and one of those people rang the news desk. One of Harry's own friends picked up the phone.
Rebecca English rejected suggestions that stories about Harry and Chelsea Davy, his ex-girlfriend, came from hacking or blagging. She said details about Harry discussing Chelsea Davy around a campfire came from someone who had been present. The key quote, she said, "All I can say is that he did," and one of those people rang the news desk.
Called the paper, and the flight details Harry insisted were intercepted? The court heard they could have come from something as simple as a boarding pass tossed in a bin, or a friend who talked. Anyone who survived a school playground knows the truth. Tell 10 friends a secret, and it's not a secret. Now, let me be fair with you because you deserve the full picture, not just the pile on. The judge did not rule that newspapers have never done anything wrong. He ruled that Harry couldn't prove they did it here. Suspicion, he said, is not evidence. And honestly,
High Court Judge Mr. Justice Nicklin is clear that suspicion of unlawful activity is not evidence of unlawful activity, which seems to be suggesting that Chris Shipp is saying, well, maybe the male is still guilty despite this finding. And remember that the burden of proof in a civil case is far, far less than a criminal case. The judge only has to be effectively over 50% convinced with the argument to find. But this is what he's quoted specifically. The court accepted that given the nature and age of the allegations, the claimant's cases often depended on interference, but suspicion, even when understandable, was not enough. The claimants had to prove that the information complained of had been obtained unlawfully.
that's the exact standard that would protect you or me from being accused of something we didn't do. But here's the part that made viewers' jaws drop. This is the man who swore his friends would never betray a confidence, the same man who wrote an entire book exposing his brother, his father, his stepmother, and his grandmother's dying years to the world.
He's had a book out called Spare. They did a documentary about their lives. They did an interview with Oprah Winfrey. So what does Meghan know about privacy? And then even the kids, they're on Instagram the whole time, which is my understanding Harry's not happy about.
As one viewer put it perfectly, how can he claim his friends would never snitch when he snitched on his own blood? Say something in court that your own written words contradict and see how your afternoon goes. But lie number 2 is different. Lie number 2 has a face, and she'd been silent for 14 years. Her name is Charlotte Griffiths. 14 years ago, she was a young journalist, and he was the most eligible prince on earth. Whatever happened between them and the court heard enough to draw its own conclusions. It was warm, it was personal, and it was private. He messaged her, "Hi, it's H in case you were confused by the name in the picture." She replied with her nickname for him, "Hello, Mr. Mischief." And for 14 years, she kept it that way, private. Think about what that means. Through every Harry scandal, every tell-all era, every chance to sell her story for a fortune, she said nothing. She built a career, a family, a life. His secret stayed safe in her phone. Then Harry dragged her into court. She had to sit there and listen to a prince tell a high court judge, under oath, that he barely knew her, that he never used the name Mr. Mischief.
I had no idea she was a journalist. I never used the name Mr. Mischief.
Did you meet her in Ibiza?
I don't think that can be right. I don't believe I have ever been to Ibiza other than with my now wife. My social circles were not leaky. I want to make that absolutely clear. I would have to cut contact with this person.
Now, Paula Frolic, the messages were produced as evidence. And remember, Charlotte Griffith, all credit to her, because I know I've been quite tough on her about certain aspects of the Harry story, but she had never released these messages publicly.
That the moment he realized she was a journalist, he cut off all contact. In one stroke, he was calling her a liar in front of the entire world and trying to end her career to win his case. So she faced an impossible choice.
Charlotte Griffiths went into court and she gave damning evidence against Harry. So we'll be speaking to the woman instrumental in bringing Harry down. A lot of people take the view that Charlotte is pro-Sussex, a mouthpiece for the Sussexes. Well, I don't think so. At least she's changed. because this evidence has sunk Harry and he will be furious. So the judge examined Harry's articles one by one. The key question was, did Harry actually prove that the Mail obtained the information in their articles unlawfully? The answer was no.
Stay silent and let him destroy her. Or open the phone. She opened the phone. Hope you're really well, Griff. Miss our movie Snuggles. I wish I was there, Sugar. Otherwise, I would have been there playing and drinking you under the table. Ovs. Movie Snuggles. Sugar.
This is a particular exchange from January 2012. And Prince Harry says to her, hope you're really well, Griff. So he's calling her Griff. Miss our movie Snuggles. I'm off comms all week in case you think I'm being rude. Keep me posted. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Read out loud in open court against a man who swore he barely knew her. The judge's verdict on Charlotte. He called her an impressive witness.
Found Charlotte Griffiths to be an impressive witness. Yikes! She was frank about the limits of her recollection and did not attempt to manufacture certainty where she had none. Her answers in cross-examination distinguished clearly between what she remembered, what she could infer from documents, and what she could only explain by reference to usual practice. I accept, says the judge, her evidence as honest.
Honest, careful. Someone who never pretended to remember more than she truly could. He accepted her evidence completely. He did not say the same about Harry. So ask yourself the question everyone watching that courtroom was asking. She protected his secret for 14 years. Would he have done the same for her? He answered that under oath, and the answer ended his case. Or, as his late grandmother once put it, in a phrase this audience will never forget, recollections may vary. Now, I was going to take you straight to lie number 3, but something happened the Christmas before this trial that you need to hear first, because it changes the meaning of everything you've just watched. According to reports circulating from an insider who tried to broker peace, Harry's side knew. They knew months before the verdict. Because during disclosure, the stage where both sides show their cards, the Daily Mail produced something Harry's team never expected. Journalists' notebooks. Not from last year, from 20 years ago. Preserved, detailed, showing exactly where the stories came from. Insiders claim Harry's camp had assumed those records were long destroyed. When they saw them, the reports say panic set in. The claimants scrambled to settle to quietly pay up and make it all disappear. They were reportedly still trying on Christmas Eve itself, and the Daily Mail said no.
It was even on Christmas Eve they were trying to settle because they didn't realize that the Daily Mail would have kept all this evidence from 20 years ago. They assumed most likely that, oh, notebooks would have been destroyed after 5 years. Well, guess what? They aren't. And, you know, it's just, Harry is a child.
Let that sink in. The paper had the chance to take the money and walk away. Instead, they chose the courtroom. They wanted Harry in that witness box, under oath, in front of the world. They wanted the kill shot in public.
You're not going to be bigger fish to fry than worrying about articles written about you than 15 years ago. I don't know about you guys. Stuff happened to me 15 years ago. And, you know, you move on, don't you? And you don't take a court case that you're going to lose because it's based on misinformation and wobbly evidence.
Which means everything you just heard the friends claim, the Charlotte denial, Harry said all of it knowing his case was likely doomed. He wasn't testifying from confidence. Reports suggest he was testifying from a corner. Keep that in your mind.
And then there was the whole business about, oh, well, you know, this has been a terrible burden on Meghan. Well, he had no idea who Meghan was at the time these events took place. So, I mean, it's just one cluster after another cluster after another cluster, and totally understandable that the judge would rule the way he did, and everybody was kind of expecting that. But again, I think the big shocker here is that it was a complete shutout.
Because lie number 3 isn't something Harry said at all. It's a signature, a forged one. The entire £50 million case rested heavily on one man, Gavin Burrows, a former private investigator. His witness statement was the load-bearing wall, the proof that dark arts had been used against Harry. There was just one problem. Gavin Burrows says he never wrote it. His words, and I want you to hear them in full. This statement has nothing to do with me. I did not write the statement. The signature was forged and traced. The case was based on a pack of lies. There has been this whole kind of theater built around it. It was fiction. Forged, traced, fiction.
Former private investigator Gavin Burrows became one of the most explosive figures in the case because he was Harry's key witness. He was the main reason why Harry went to court. But he immediately disowned a statement attributed to him and said it was not written by him. He said, this statement has nothing to do with me. I did not write the statement. The signature was forged and traced. The case was based on a pack of lies.
That's Harry's own star witness describing Harry's own case. So who forged it? That question is still hanging in the air. There are reports of a witness claiming he received threats from Harry's side. There are now open calls for Harry's lawyer, David Sherborne, the man who reportedly assured this entire group of celebrities for years that victory was certain to be reported to the authorities.
David Sherborne, the lawyer who just completely lost this case after, I believe, misleading Harry and a whole load of celebrities for years, according to Chris Shipp of Woke ITV, who we know as in Camp Harry, has just arrived at the Invictus Games event at Chatham House that Harry is attending. Chris Shipp says, presumably, there is much to discuss. Paula, that is going to be one fascinating meeting because it was David Sherborne who for years was assuring not just Harry, but Doreen Lawrence and Elton John and Sadie Frost and all of the other people involved in this case, like Simon Hughes, the former Liberal Democrat MP, that this is a slam dunk. There's no way you're going to lose. Now he's got to face the music.
And notice what happened when the forgery claim surfaced. Did Harry withdraw the case? Apologize? Pause for even a moment? He pressed on.
They don't listen. Yeah. They don't listen to the advice they're given. You speak to their old advisors. You know, they threw their hands up in the air in despair because they just didn't listen. I'm afraid they write the rules themselves. They expect it all to go their way. And when it doesn't, they play the victim card in it
all the way to a verdict that dismissed every single count. Walk into your local court with a forged witness statement, and you would be arrested before lunch. Harry walked out and gave a speech.
I hope you leave this conference with a deeper understanding of what the Invictus movement really is, and not simply a week of sport every 2 years, but a community united by one belief.
But even the forgery isn't the biggest lie. The biggest lie was never told inside that courtroom at all. Harry's been telling it to the whole world for years, and a newspaper editor just ended it using Harry's own mother. For years, Harry has wrapped his war on the press in one sacred justification: Diana. He's finishing his mother's work, protecting her legacy, fighting the monsters that hounded her. Then, hours after the verdict, Paul Dacre spoke, the legendary Mail editor.
Paul Dacre, who was the editor of the Daily Mail at the time and a giant of journalism. And he gave fiery evidence defending the newspaper. He said allegations had astonished, appalled, and shocked him and reduced him to rage. That's the point. Harry has caused so much damage by these court cases, and he's hurt so many people. And that's what Harry does, because he's a wrecking ball. He's pathological, in my opinion. He's a cruel man. He's not a nice man.
The man who ran the paper through the very years in question, and what he revealed cut deeper than any legal ruling. Diana liked the Mail. His words: the bitter irony is that his mother liked the Mail. We were her paper. We took her side in her acrimonious breakup with Charles. She and I would speak and meet. The Mail's royal reporter, Richard Kay, wasn't Diana's enemy, he was her friend, her confidant, someone she trusted and met with regularly.
The Mail's superb royal reporter, that is referring to Richard Kay, was her friend and confidant. The truth is that this trumped-up action, which has cost well over £50 million and wasted a huge amount of valuable court time, should never have been brought to trial.
Many of you watching remember Diana. You remember the papers she trusted and the ones she didn't. Harry either never knew or chose not to care that he just spent £50 million trying to destroy his mother's favorite newspaper, in her name.
He'll make it worse. He'll criticize his father, he'll criticize the newspaper editor and all that sort of thing, because he can't break away from what is law and what is normal.
Yeah, he doesn't get it, does he? He never did understand that. And he thinks that villains are such newspapers are such villains that they can't possibly win a case. Well, you need evidence, Harry, and you didn't have any. This is embarrassing for him, humiliating defeat. The Daily Mail, a great day for the Daily Mail and its journalists who are, as you know, Angela, are honest and decent people. They didn't deserve what Harry said about them.
And Dacre wasn't finished. On Harry's demand for privacy, this from a man who published his Taliban kill count, his drug use, and the story of how he lost his virginity, Dacre delivered the line of the year. There isn't a laundry in the cosmos big enough to wash all the dirty linen he has aired about his own family.
Paul Dacre says, Prince Harry wrote a sad book which boasted about his killing of 25 Taliban, his drug taking, and in cringe-making detail how he lost his virginity. This isn't a laundry. Sorry, there isn't a laundry in the cosmos big enough to wash down all the dirty linen he has aired about his own family.
For him to complain about his privacy being invaded takes not just the biscuit, but the whole tin. The whole tin. 4 lies, his friends, Charlotte, the forged statement, and Diana, all exposed, all on the record. And when the verdict landed and confirmed every one of them, Harry finally lost it. The statement came within hours. The verdict, Harry's side declared, was a whitewash. Understand what that word means coming from him. He's accusing a high court judge, a judge who serves the crown, in courts that carry his father's name, of bias, of a fix, of corruption. Royal watchers were stunned. Commentators noted that in many countries, publicly insinuating a judge acted in bad faith would earn you a fine or worse. It skirts the edge of contempt. He's no longer just at war with the press. He's at war with British justice itself. And as he raged, his world collapsed around him in real time. Reports say Meghan, who insiders claim opposed this case from the start, is furious. And tellingly, she was never once at his side in that courtroom.
What it means for him and Meghan, because she's not going to be happy that he's picked this fight with the Daily Mail and once again lost. And she's going to suffer because the two of them are now even more broke.
The bill of up to £50 million now hangs over the group, with whispers that Sir Elton John, the only claimant with real money, may end up covering tens of millions for the friends Harry led into this disaster. Doreen Lawrence, the grieving mother whose son's killers the Daily Mail once risked prison to expose, was reportedly convinced by Harry to sue the very paper that fought for her boy.
Baroness Lawrence, you know, she was the mother of the boy of 18, Stephen. And he persuaded her to put some money in the bag, and this is what had happened to them. And she decided, if you remember, that Paul Dacre, the head of the newspaper, he actually absolutely worked incredibly hard and he got murderers on the front, risking his own way of going home, getting it was just very, very difficult for him to do anything for this boy and his mother.
Betrayed twice, and it's not over. Sentebli's doctor. Sophie Chandaka is next in court with a defamation case, and insiders say, unlike Harry, she has actual evidence. The Invictus Games are reportedly £25 million short, with a petition growing to remove Harry as patron entirely.
He has to raise £25 million from corporations or private donors. And frankly, that's not going to happen. I did meet with somebody from who has knowledge of Invictus Birmingham, and they were saying at this point, if he does not raise it, it will be postponed. If it's postponed, it will be canceled.
Meanwhile, the comment sections are demanding one word: perjury. Charge him, strip the titles, declare him a vexatious litigant.
When the public really dislike Harry and when his opinion goes down about him, it's when he is complaining again about the hand he was dealt as a member of the royal family, about security, and about where he's staying. There's a cost of living crisis in this country. Turning down an opportunity to stay in Buckingham Palace and then getting annoyed that certain things haven't gone your way, I don't think it's going to wash with the British public.
I don't. I mean, you know, if you go down the pub, if they're not talking about the football, they're talking about Harry. And just, you know, we don't want you here because it just causes too much fuss. And you think not that long ago.
Now, straight talk, because I won't spin you. This was a civil case. No prosecutor has charged anyone, and realistically, none will. That's how the system works. But something did change forever. From today, anyone, anywhere, can call Prince Harry a proven liar out loud, in print, on television, and there is nothing he can do about it. Because to sue for your reputation, you have to have one left. So here's my question, and I genuinely want your answer. Should a man the High Court refused to believe keep a royal title? Tell me below, I read every comment. Because if it were you or me, we both know exactly where we'd be. One last image. A prince walked into his father's court to expose the liars of the British press. He walked out as the only man in Britain a high court has formally, on the record, declined to believe, with the next courtroom already waiting for him. And when this verdict reached Montecito, insiders say Meghan's reaction was brutal.
I don't think he's going to get a very good welcome there from his wife when she, wherever she is at the moment, because she'll be pretty angry about the verdict, won't she?
She absolutely will be. She absolutely will be, for very good reason, because regardless of what everyone says, Meghan Markle was actually always very reluctant for Prince Harry to press ahead with this case, and I think for very good reason.
That full story is in the video on your screen right now. Don't miss it.